Hola! In this video, I'm going to teach you the only 10 phrases that you need to know in order to get by for your next vacation to Cancun, Punta Cana, or really any Spanish-speaking tourist destination. This is for the ultimate beginner, like the gringa that speaks no Spanish. Maybe you know hola. This is not for someone that already knows a little Spanish or is trying to learn Spanish as another language. I want to teach you the most common phrases so that you feel confident, you feel excited about going to these countries, and also you're showing your appreciation by trying to converse with the people in their language. One rule of this video is you can't make fun of my Spanish. So I learned Spanish in school. I do understand a lot of Spanish, but I still struggle to speak Spanish as well. But I know the basics and I know what it's like to not know any Spanish, but be in a Spanish-speaking country. And if you are new to our channel, 3 Days and Tres Noches, this is a little bit of a different video for us because normally we bring you honest reviews, travel tips, and information and show you that you can have an amazing vacation in a short amount of time. All right, so let's get started. So for the format of the video, instead of just throwing a bunch of phrases at you, I'm actually going to bring you through the scenarios that you will come up against during your vacation and how to use the phrases appropriately. But then at the end of the video, I will review all of the words and the phrases together. Okay, so you're on the plane, you're excited because you're getting ready to land at your destination. I'm excited for you, and you are getting off the plane. So the first thing is that you will be greeted by people, and I think everybody probably knows hola is hello. So as people greet you, hola, of course you're going to say hola back. But another thing you might hear is bienvenidos, bienvenidos, which means welcome. So they want to welcome you into their country and you're going to say thank you. So in Spanish, I think most people know that too, is gracias. Okay, so hola, they're going to say bienvenidos, and you're going to say gracias. Well, the next stop is usually immigration. It's pretty standard that the immigration agents speak English. You don't have to worry too much about that. But along this video, I will teach you some other words that are good to know. Maybe you're going to see them on a sign. So when you hear them, you know what they mean. And the great thing about Spanish is that a lot of the words are similar. So for instance, immigrations is inmigraciones, and passport is pasaporte. But one question that you will get asked a lot, not only in immigrations, but throughout your vacation, is how many days are you staying? How many days will you be here? And in Spanish, how many days is cuántos días? How many, cuántos means how many, días, days. So they may ask you, ¿cuántos días son tus vacaciones? How many days is your vacation? There might be different versions of it, but just here for the words cuántos días. So it's a good idea just to know your Spanish numbers, know how many days that you will be staying in the country. I think most people have learned their Spanish numbers either watching TV shows or early in school, but we'll go over them really quickly. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez. And if you're staying longer than 10 days, I am jealous, but we'll go over once, doce, trece, catorce, quince. If you're saying 10 días, días is the word for days. So 10 días, cinco días. That way, people will ask you that a lot. You'll see along the way, and you can answer them. But another really important phrase that you need to know is the fact that you really don't speak Spanish, because if you start saying hola and gracias, people might think that oh, wow, they speak Spanish. So they might ask you, ¿hablas español? ¿Hablas español? Do you speak Spanish? Hablar is the verb to talk, to speak. ¿Hablas español? You're going to say, no hablo español. No hablo español. And that's really important because along the way, especially if you come across someone that's speaking Spanish, that doesn't speak English, you can say, no hablo español. You want to ask somebody if they speak English, right? ¿Hablas inglés? ¿Hablas inglés? Means, do you speak English? The immigrations officer might even ask you, ¿hablas español? Do you speak Spanish? And you're going to say, no hablo español. Hablo inglés. I speak English. Hablo, meaning I, it ends in an O. Inglés. Hablo inglés. And I would even add a little, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Lo siento. Lo siento. No hablo español. Then as you're leaving and they're done, they might tell you gracias, like thank you. And then you might want to say you're welcome or adios. So your welcome is de nada. So gracias is thank you. De nada is your welcome. You want to say goodbye. So we have hola for hello. We're going to say goodbye. It's adios. Adios, gracias. Because you want to thank them as well. You made it through immigrations. And this is actually a good time to plug some of my other videos about the Punta Cana airport and the Cancun airport. So if it's your first time traveling there, definitely check those out so that it can help you navigate both of those airports a lot better. So now you have to go get your luggage if you checked in a bag. Hopefully you've been watching me and you've tried just to do a carry-on. But the word for luggage is equipaje. Equipaje. And normally the signs are in English and Spanish. You don't have to worry too much about that. But that's the next thing you're going to get is your equipaje. Right, now it's off to customs, and most customs officers speak English, but not all of them do. It's not the same as immigration. So if you get to any issues in customs and they are trying to speak Spanish with you, don't worry. There's usually someone right next to them, another officer that speaks English. There's not really any easy phrases that you will need to know in customs. Again, they may ask you how many bags that you have. And another word for suitcase, I told you equipaje, is maletas. So they may ask you, ¿cuántas maletas tienes? ¿Cuántas? How many maletas, suitcases, tienes? Tener means to have. They're asking you, so how many do you have? Tienes. And then you can respond, now that you know your numbers, how many that you have. You could say dos, tres. Now, if you wanted to have a phrase with that, you could use the verb tener to answer and say tengo, I have dos maletas. Tengo dos maletas. Now the fun begins because you are pretty much almost done at the airport, el aeropuerto, right? And so you're going to start looking for your transportation. And hopefully you've set up that transportation ahead of time. Again, watch those videos. You do not want to ever land in either of these destinations without setting up your transportation first. Now, another great phrase that you need to know at the airport is no gracias. No gracias, no gracias, no gracias. No, thank you, because you will get kind of hounded by people wanting to pull you over and sell you timeshares or excursions or rental cars or whatever it is. So you just keep going, say no gracias, no gracias, no gracias. You want to stop for a drink. Una bebida. I mean, we're on vacation, right? Maybe you want a margarita. Maybe you want una cerveza. Cerveza is beer. So those are two really good things that you need to know. Margarita, cerveza, and bebida is just the generic word for drink. So whenever I land at either Punta Cana or Cancun, you better bet yo quiero una bebida. I want, yo quiero, querer means to want, yo quiero una bebida. Usually at the airport, you're going to find a lot of English-speaking workers. So when you go up to Margaritaville or to the bar to get something, you can ask in English like, hey, can I have a margarita? Can I have a beer? And usually they're going to understand. But again, if you just want to have some fun, you just landed, you can say, hola, quiero una margarita, por favor. Quiero una margarita, por favor. Please. Por favor, please. Quiero una cerveza. Por favor, please. Now, if for some reason they don't know English, a phrase that you must know is you always want to ask, how much is it? Because they will spot that you don't speak Spanish and sometimes they could charge you a little bit more. So you always want to ask, how much is it? And if they say no, hablo inglés, you could say, oh, ¿cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? And here's where it's a good idea to know your numbers, even beyond 15, to 20, whatever it is, because they're going to tell you $22. That's right. At the airport, the margaritas are $22. They're probably even more now. So 22 is 22. They might say 15, 15. So make sure you study up on your numbers a little bit before you go. That way you know when they're telling you how much something costs, what it is. Which is a great time to talk about the currency of the country. And do you need to exchange currency? And again, I go over this a lot in my videos, and you do not need to exchange currency. We usually always pay in US dollars. We have exchanged to pesos, and to me, it's just more confusing. So the word for dollar is dólares, and obviously peso is peso. So you could ask them, ¿cuánto cuesta en dólares, in dollars? That way they give you the amount in US dollars and not pesos, which could be confusing. And of course, if we're talking about money, we have to know what the word for money is in Spanish, which is dinero. And I already went over the phrase, which is how much is it, which is cuánto cuesta. But if you said cuánto dinero, they would probably understand that as well. This video ended up being way longer than I expected, so I decided to divide it up into 3 parts. So in part 2, we're going to go over all of the phrases that you need to know when meeting your transportation company and the driver that's taking you to the resort. Some phrases will be brand new, and some phrases we will continue to repeat throughout different scenarios. So definitely check out part 2, and then in part 3, I'm going to teach you all of the phrases that you need to know while staying at the resort. And I do respond to all comments and questions, so por favor, put them in the comment section below. Y adios, I'll see you in part 2.